Hello, welcome to Beyond the Bay. My name is Ted Kroll. I'm here to introduce Groundhog Day, which is a rich, rewarding film that reveals its treasures with repeated viewings. Few mainstream Hollywood films bear up in this way. It uses basic film techniques and creative ways to tell a fantastic fairy tale. In fact, it has become part of a cultural touchstone. All one has to say is it feels like Groundhog Day, and everyone knows what you're talking about. It is deja vu all over again. And these days, many of us are feeling that we're living in the middle of this film, waking up knowing that today will be much the same as yesterday. But, and this is an essential but, Groundhog can teach us that we can make good use of our time stuck in the loop. There's a lot to explore in this film, and I only can touch on several of its component parts. First and foremost, at heart, this is a good old romantic comedy. It has an original and very cinematic way of portraying the storyline, but basically it is boy meets girl, struggles to win the girl, and in the end, they literally walk off hand in hand. The idea for the film was originally developed in a screenplay written by Danny Rubin. The basic plot device of a man being trapped in the cycle of a single day that repeats without end was in his first version, but it was much more quirky and serious-minded in its plot development. When reviewed by the studios, it was passed over for being too experimental. By simplicity, I'm referring to the fact that no explanation is given why Bill Murray falls into this situation. This is the true genius of the film. We, the audience, are as perplexed as Bill Murray is as to what is going on, and after a while it doesn't matter why it happened, but how it is playing out and affects his state of mind. The amount of time he is trapped is implied throughout the events of the film, but never made explicit. Interestingly, his state of mind is shown by the clock. The film shows, it doesn't explain. At first, the clock is benign, but gradually becomes more and more sinister. It is amazing that a clock is a device that can express this emotion. All this is done by camera angle and visual distortion. In fact, even when he destroys the clock to pieces, it continues to play on the Sonny and Cher song that has been annoying us through the entire picture. The film's director, Harold Ramis, shown here on the right, is the one who pulled all the pieces together. He had a reputation of making movies with unabashed, gross adolescent humor, and as well he had worked with Bill Murray on 5 previous films. He read the rejected script and saw the opportunity to do something different for himself out of the box. And because of his extensive history in making film comedies, he shaped the movie into something that would appeal to popular audiences. His sensibility shaved off some of the rough edges and certainly added to the warm undercurrent that flowed through the entire film. He and the original screenwriter Danny Rubin developed the script into its final form. There is no flashy or unusual film techniques in this picture, no special effects or computer-generated imagery. It is this realistic cinematography that grounds the outlandish plot to seem believable, because all the action takes place in a real, non-Hollywood stylized world. The audience is lulled into accepting the mad addicts on the screen. The realism is underlined by the fact that they used a real-life groundhog named Scooter in the chase scenes. Apparently, Scooter bit Bill Murray twice during the shooting. The editing and pacing of the film is exquisite. Nothing is carried on too long. Complicated situations are made in precise ways. Apparently, originally they wanted to show Bill Murray tearing apart his room to prove that he was trapped. The trash room would be restored by 7 a.m. But they simplified this grand concept into 3 shots. He snaps the pencil apart. The clock rolls to be 6 a.m. and then he looks over and finds the pencil to be intact. The film is filled with these effective devices. Ultimately, the success of the movie is due to the brilliance of Bill Murray. This is the quintessential Bill Murray role, one that he plays in most of his films in one variation or another. Basically, the sentimental romantic side gradually emerges from the nasty, cynical person that is introduced at the beginning of the film. More often than not, a woman facilitates this change. The fact is, he is a true movie star in the classic sense. His film persona is a combination of Buster Keaton, Cary Grant, with a dollop of W.C. Fields. Also, Bill Murray adds spontaneity throughout the film. I can't show you here the ways his facial expressions and body movements are accomplished. They are too quick and too subtle to capture in a still picture. Also, he adds little verbal twists to the dialogue. Here he is pausing to add a prayer with a quick amen before toasting to world peace. This is not in the script. Andie McDowell plays Rita, the character who is the guardian angel of this fairy tale. Throughout the film, she is the one with the centered, warm personality that motivates Bill to change. There is a charming, centered femininity about her that excludes the sensuality that must be won by understanding and romance, and not by lust. She is introduced playing around with the blue screen device in the TV studio. There is a quick shot of her superimposed on the weather map. This ethereal image, angel-like, foreshadows her role in the story. The film is filled with wonderful character actors, all of whom express a cheerful, open attitude as opposed to the manipulative actions of Bill Murray. They keep popping up throughout the film, and in fact, this older man here is one that plays a very crucial role in the development of the film. Also, the story is set in a place inhabited by normal real-life people. Since the film was shot in a real town in Illinois, they seem to have used the local inhabitants in the background. This use of non-actors adds a profound dimension to the film that is not found in many Hollywood films. This sense of normal everyday envelops the action of the story. Finally, much ink has been spilt in analyzing this film. Philosophers, religious figures, psychiatrists have all laid down claim to the intellectual and spiritual ownership of the film. It does invite this kind of exploration that is worthy of discussion, but not today. Let's leave it at, love conquers all, and they lived happily ever after, even if they're going to rent rather than buy.